these intercessors in the meeting, and I was going to give report, and it would be a confirmation to many of them, and many of them, the wife had notes there of which ones called at different times. So when I was telling experiences, or what was to be telling experiences, I would look at them knowing who they are and explain to them, and this is what happened when you were interceding. So they could hear it right from my own lips in a personal way. It was going to be that kind of a meeting, and I say it was going to be. But the Lord had another plan for it. We had, everybody brought a hot dish and a salad and a dessert, okay? And it was going to be a dinner at noon, and then we were going to go back and have maybe a couple more hours, and then that would be enough time, we thought. So at 10 o'clock in the morning, we began with prayer, and then I explained that the Lord has given my wife a song that would fit right in. So she began playing her auto harp and singing. As she was singing, the glory of God came down in that room. Now, if you have ever experienced the glory of God, you'll know what I'm saying, but let me explain a little bit if you haven't. When the glory of God comes down, there is an awesomeness that comes over you. There's an awareness of His awesome presence. To some people, it can be a terrible experience because you're physically, spiritually not ready for it. But irregardless, if the glory of God comes down and you are totally not ready for it, you may jump up and run out of the room. But in this case, not one jumped up and ran out. Now, we had many people there that were in their 80s. We had people there that couldn't walk real good because of their hips and things like this. But when the glory of God come down, I went out of that seat flat on my face. And what I mean by flat on my face on the floor is my nose was touching the floor. And down deep in my innermost being was billowing out of my lips, "Holy, holy, holy." I could have stopped it, but I didn't want to. His presence was so awesome. That's the only expression I could give that my being felt was adequate for that presence. You understand what I'm saying? And many, the same holy, holy was billowing out of them. And I could tell they hit the deck too, because their voices were coming all around me. In that presence, as that awesome presence of His glory came down, and I no more than realized, my wife's even stopped singing. She's down beside me. I could hear others crying out. Some were repenting. But as that, just enough time to recognize that others were on their faces. That's all the time I had, and instantly I was walking on the streets of gold. Now, I was in a totally different realm when there I was, right on the streets of gold. Crying holy, I had no idea. I did not petition the Father to come to heaven. It was a surprise to me. I didn't expect it. But I will never forget the first sensation I experienced. There I was on the streets of gold. It was like I hit the deck running, so to speak, only walking. I came on the street of gold, and I started to take a step. And I was looking down, and I saw the street I was on, and I had never seen anything like it. The gold was so pure, it looked transparent. And I was afraid. I actually hesitated with my foot and brought it back and set it down where I had beside the other one. Why did I do that? It was so transparent, I thought if I stepped forward into it, I would sink into it. It was that clear. Then I looked at it, and I looked up the street of gold with this thought. I know it's gold, but it's so clear. I wonder if it's clear all the way like this, and I wonder if it turns to more of a gold color as I look up it. So I was looking down, I looked up to look up the pavement of gold that I was standing on, and that's when I laid eyes on a person walking in front of me in white raiment. When I saw that white raiment, I forgot about the street of gold. Now I can explain to you, I don't know if others have explained to you any detail about the street of gold, the streets of gold. I told you it is it is crystal clear. The street of gold are crystal clear, and yet they have a golden hue to them. And I held up a glass one time. Actually, I saw it on the table, and the sun was coming through pretty bright, of cherry 7-Up. And there was a kind of a prismatic glow through it from the sun hitting through the window. I picked it up and looked at it in the window like this, in the sun. And I thought, oh my goodness, that is the closest that I can explain that the street of gold looks like. It is a transparent color, a goldish cherry red hue, yet it's transparent. Now that's the only way I know how to explain the gold. Now I worked for 5 years in the city of Phoenix, Arizona at Motorola in the science labs, and I tested metals and in the metallurgical lab. I tested metals for purity. And when I did that, I could tell you what percentage that gold or silver or platinum, copper, brass, what percentage that metal was of purity and what percentage of impurities was in it. Now I had seen gold that was as fine as what hair's left of my hairs. There were gold wires that we used to put in units that went to the first shot to the moon, when man walked on the moon. That takes it back a few years. But I've also worked for a living along with the ministry in life. So I haven't worked total faith in the ministry all my life. It's consistently the last 17 years, but intermittently in those previous years of the 30-some years of ministry. But in that understanding of gold, I believe it was because of that understanding that I had to analyze what I was looking at. And this is where it is difficult to explain in earth language what you experience. You understand what I mean? I get feeling so awkward when I try to get into details. I would love to just be able to just pour out detail to you of the sensing that I had, the thinking that I had. I can't do it. We're in a different realm here. It just isn't the same. I can't compare things here that are in heaven. It doesn't work. Everything here is so degenerate compared to what is in heaven. Everything in heaven is so pure and perfect. There is nothing in heaven that is imperfect or impure. And so it is difficult to adequately explain these two.